Welcome to the Expensive Coins History channel. Think a UK 1p new penny is worthless? Some rare ones are worth thousands, even life-changing money. Today, we're counting down the top 3 new penny 1p coins that could make you rich. Check your change, you might be holding a fortune. Let's jump in. The 1973 Queen Elizabeth II new penny 1p coin, a piece of Britain's early decimal coinage. In this video we will take a deep journey into its background, the world surrounding it, its production, the meaning behind its design, why some people believe this coin is valuable, how rare it truly is, and what its realistic worth is in the market today. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what you're holding if you have one of these coins, and you will understand its true place in the world of coin collecting. To understand why the 1973 new penny exists, we need to step back into the early 1970s, a time when the United Kingdom was undergoing one of the most significant monetary transitions in its history. Until 1971, the British monetary system was based on pounds, shillings, and pence, a complex structure that had existed for centuries. But on the 15th of February 1971, the UK officially switched to a decimal currency system, in which £1 was divided into 100 new pence. As part of this transformation, several new coins were introduced, including the new penny, the 2 new pence, the half new penny, and others. Just 2 years after that historic day of decimalization, in 1973, the Royal Mint continued production of the new decimal coins to ensure a smooth transition and supply enough currency for everyday use. The one new penny coin of that year is one of the outcomes of that process. The 1973 one penny coin bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait was used on British coinage from 1968 to 1984 and is instantly recognizable by the crown bust of the Queen facing right. This is one of the most iconic and admired portraits used during her long reign. Her youthful appearance in this portrait reflects the early and middle years of her monarchy. On the reverse of the coin is the word new pence along with its denomination of 1 penny, represented by a crowned portcullis. This portcullis has long been a symbol associated with British Parliament and authority, and it connects the coin to centuries of British tradition. Even as the currency itself was undergoing modernization, the coin was struck in bronze and has a smooth edge. It carries no mint mark because it was produced at the Royal Mint's main facility, which did not use mint marks for circulating British coins. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, has a diameter of 20.32 millimeters, and was minted in extremely large quantities. In fact, the 1973 one new penny had a mintage of well over 200 million pieces. This enormous production is important to understand, because it plays a major role in determining the rarity and value of the coin today. Despite its age, the 1973 one penny is considered a common coin. It was circulated widely throughout the United Kingdom during the 1970s, 1980s, and beyond. Millions of people handled these coins daily when buying food, paying bus fares, or shopping on the high street. Because of this, most 1973 pennies you find today will show wear, scratches, discoloration, or other signs of age. These circulated examples generally do not carry much collectible value. However, this does not mean the coin is without interest. For collectors of decimal British coinage, for fans of Queen Elizabeth memorabilia, or for people preserving early decimal currency, the 1973 one penny remains an important and nostalgic piece. You may have noticed, when searching online, that some sellers list the 1973 penny for remarkably high prices, sometimes in the hundreds or even thousands of pounds or dollars. These listings often include dramatic descriptions, claims of extreme rarity, or suggestions that the coin is a rare error. However, it is essential to understand the difference between asking prices and actual market value. Anyone can list a coin for an inflated price, but that does not mean buyers are willing to pay that amount. The reality is that the typical 1973 no mint mark penny is extremely common, and its value in most cases is modest. The value of any coin depends heavily on its condition. A coin that has circulated and shows visible wear is worth less. A coin in good condition may earn a small premium. A coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it was never used in everyday transactions and still has its original mint shine, can be worth more because fewer examples exist in such excellent condition. Even so, the typical value for an uncirculated 1973 penny usually remains low because so many were produced. Collectors simply have plenty of options, driving the price down. There are certain special conditions that could increase value. The first is exceptional grade. If a 1973 penny is in pristine mint state and has been professionally graded and encapsulated by a respected coin grading service, it can bring a higher price than average examples. This is especially true for coins graded extremely high on the numerical scale, because such coins are scarce due to minor imperfections that often occur during the minting and handling process. Another factor that might raise value is a verified minting error. Errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, doubled lettering, or misaligned planchets can attract collector interest. However, verified and dramatic errors on 1973 pennies are not common. Claims of rare errors should be approached cautiously unless the coin is authenticated by an expert. Despite these possibilities, the average collector will find that the typical 1973 penny is worth anywhere from its face value to a modest premium. In circulated condition, its value is usually minimal. In well-preserved uncirculated condition, it may be worth a small amount to collectors of decimal coins or fans of Queen Elizabeth. In higher mint state grades, it can bring more, but such coins are the exception rather than the rule. So why do so many people think this coin is worth a lot of money? The main reason is online marketplace listings that display exaggerated asking prices. These listings capture attention and spread the belief that certain coins are rare when they are not. Sellers often label the coin as rare simply to draw interest, even though the mintage numbers clearly show that the coin is very common. This is why it is important to understand genuine rarity as opposed to perceived rarity. Although the monetary value may not be high, the historical and sentimental value of the 1973 new penny is significant. It represents the early years of Britain's decimal currency system. It reflects an era when the nation was adjusting to a monetary change that affected every household, every shop, and every transaction. It carries the portrait of Queen Elizabeth during a period of stability and modernization in her reign. It is a coin that thousands of families still remember handling during everyday life. Many people keep these coins because they are a link to the past, a reminder of childhood, or simply a piece of the world before certain coins were redesigned or replaced. If you have a 1973 new penny, the best thing you can do is examine its condition carefully. Look for strong detail in the Queen's portrait, sharp edges, clean surfaces, and a bright original shine. If the coin looks nearly flawless and you believe it may be of exceptional quality, you might consider having it evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or grading company. But if your coin shows wear, discoloration, or age marks, it is most likely a regular example worth a small amount but still a charming and historical piece to hold on to. The 1973 Queen Elizabeth II new penny is not rare in the traditional sense, and most examples do not command high prices. However, what the coin lacks in monetary value it makes up for in historical significance. It is a piece of Britain's decimal story, a symbol of a major financial transformation, and a coin that millions of people once used every day. Whether you keep it as a collectible, a nostalgic item, or a part of a complete decimal coin set, it remains an enduring fragment of British history that continues to fascinate collectors and enthusiasts alike. And if you ever come across a perfectly preserved example or a true minting error, you may indeed have something that brings a premium within the hobby. Otherwise, enjoy the coin for what it is, a simple, accessible, and meaningful reminder of the early years of decimal Britain. The 1975 Queen Elizabeth II new penny coin with no mint mark. Whether you are a budding collector, an experienced numismatist, or someone who recently discovered this coin in an old drawer and wondered if it might be worth a small fortune, this video will give you everything you need to know. We're going to uncover its origins, explain why it was made the way it was, walk through its design, look at its rarity, discuss whether the lack of a mint mark means it is special, and break down its true value in the current market so you have a complete understanding of what this coin is really worth. To understand this coin, we must begin with the historical shift that produced it. In 1971, the United Kingdom officially moved from the centuries-old pounds, shillings, and pence system to the new decimal system. Instead of 12 pence to a shilling and 20 shillings to a pound, the country adopted a simpler structure of 100 new pence to the pound. This transition required the creation of an entirely new set of coins, including the 1 new penny. These coins formed part of a new era of British currency designed to reflect simplicity, clarity, and modernization. By 1975, the early decimal coins were still relatively new, and the 1 new penny coin was a familiar part of everyday transactions throughout the nation. The obverse of the 1975 1 new penny displays the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, modeled by Arnold Machin. This portrait, featuring the Queen wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, became one of the most recognized designs used across countries within the Commonwealth. Around the portrait are the Latin inscriptions meaning, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The reverse of the coin features the numeral 1 alongside the inscription, New Penny, which only appeared until 1981, after which the text changed to simply 1 penny. The reverse design also includes a crowned portcullis, a stylized representation of the gate and chains associated with the Palace of Westminster, symbolizing stability, history, and sovereignty. Now, one of the most misunderstood aspects of this coin is the concept of the mint mark. Many new collectors assume that a missing mint mark automatically means a coin is rare or valuable. While that is true for certain world coins, particularly some produced in the United States, the British situation is different. The Royal Mint traditionally did not place mint marks on circulating decimal coins produced in the UK. The majority of standard circulation coins, including the 1975 1 new penny, were struck at the Royal Mint facility in Llantrisant, Wales, and these coins were intentionally produced without any mint mark. Therefore, the absence of a mint letter or symbol on a 1975 1 new penny does not indicate a special or rare variety, it simply reflects how all these coins were produced at that time. The term, no mint mark, can sometimes confuse people, and that confusion often leads to misconceptions that these coins are unusually valuable, when in reality, they are not. Another key factor in understanding the value of the 1975 1 new penny is its mintage. More than 200 million of these coins were minted for circulation. That means that this coin was extremely common and widely distributed. When a coin has a high mintage like this, it generally does not become rare unless something unusual happened during production, such as the creation of an error coin or the existence of a low mintage proof version. For the 1975 1 new penny, the vast majority were standard circulation coins, and because there are so many of them still in existence, they remain relatively accessible for collectors today. This high availability significantly limits the coin's market value. Even though the coin itself is common, condition still plays a critical role in determining value. A heavily worn 1975 1 new penny that circulated for decades will show its age through scratches, discoloration, nicks, and flattening of the design details. These circulated coins are typically worth only a small amount above their original face value. Many collectors pick them up for a few pence, mainly as part of building a complete decimal penny collection. Coins found in change or in an old jar tend to fall into this category. While they are interesting historical pieces, they rarely command high prices. On the other hand, uncirculated examples of the 1975 1 new penny are more desirable. These are coins that were never used in everyday transactions and therefore have retained their original mint luster and sharp details. Although uncirculated examples are more attractive to collectors, their value is still limited by the fact that so many were produced. Generally, an uncirculated example may be worth about £1 or a few pounds depending on how pristine it is, but it still will not reach extremely high values because demand is moderate and supply is abundant. There is also the matter of proof coins or special mint strikes. For some years, collectors' sets were produced with higher quality strikes, polished dies, and smooth, mirror-like surfaces. If a 1975 penny comes from such a set, it may be more visually appealing and more desirable. However, even these proof examples do not typically command very high prices because they, too, were produced in relatively high numbers and are not considered rare by numismatic standards, where things get more interesting is with error coins. Occasionally, during production, a coin may be misstruck, off-center, double-struck, missing part of its design, or minted on the wrong type of metal blank. These error coins can be rare and valuable because they represent an anomaly in the minting process. If a 1975 one new penny exhibits a genuine and unusual mint error, it may be worth significantly more than a standard coin. Error coins often appeal to a different segment of collectors who are willing to pay premiums for unique or visually striking mistakes. However, it's important to distinguish genuine mint errors from damage that occurred after the coin left the mint. Scratches, dents, environmental corrosion, and post-mint alterations do not increase value and are not considered collectible errors. Given all of this, what is the actual value of a 1975 one new penny with no mint mark in today's market? For a typical circulated example, the value usually remains below £1. Many of these coins sell for just pennies or a modest amount above their face value. A nicer, uncirculated example may sell for around £1 to £3, sometimes slightly more if it has exceptional shine or appears almost flawless. Proof examples may gain additional attention and reach a few pounds higher, depending on desirability and presentation. Only coins with verified mint state grading or documented rare errors can achieve prices above these ranges, and even then, such cases are exceptions rather than the norm. When collectors talk about coins worth a lot of money, they usually refer to very rare varieties, low mintage issues, or coins featuring dramatic errors. The 1975 one new penny does not fall naturally into those categories. Its primary appeal lies in its place in British decimal history, its connection to Queen Elizabeth II's long reign, and its nostalgic value for people who grew up during the shift from the old monetary system. Although it is not valuable in the financial sense for most examples, it remains a charming and historically meaningful piece that collectors enjoy owning as part of a complete decimal penny series. So, if you have one of these coins and were hoping it could be worth hundreds or thousands, you now know the realistic market perspective. It's still a wonderful piece of Britain's decimal heritage, but its monetary value is generally modest unless it possesses something special such as an authenticated mint error or an exceptional grade. Collectors value completeness, historical context, visual condition, and rarity, and while this coin checks some of those boxes, rarity is not one of them. The 1978 Queen Elizabeth II new penny begins during a fascinating era in British monetary history. By the late 1970s, the United Kingdom was still adjusting to the decimalization process introduced only a few years earlier. The term new penny was used on the 1p coins to help the public distinguish the new decimal system from the older pre-decimal currency that had existed for centuries. The 1978 coin, showing the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the crowned portcullis on the reverse, has become one of the most commonly encountered coins for collectors who focus on modern British circulation issues. Yet despite its common appearance, many people remain curious about whether a 1978 penny without a mint mark can be valuable or rare. Today we will explore everything behind this coin, from its historical context to its true market value, and uncover whether it is actually worth a lot of money. To understand this coin, imagine Britain in the 1970s. Decimalization had introduced new denominations and new coin designs. The 1p coin, small and bronze, played an important role in everyday transactions. The Royal Mint produced millions of these coins each year to meet circulation demand. In 1978 production continued at full scale, and the 1p coin was still referred to as the new penny. This naming convention stayed on the coins until the early 1980s, when the wording changed to 1p as the public had fully adapted to decimal currency by then. On the obverse side of the 1978 penny, we see the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Arnold Machin. The portrait presents the Queen facing right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This design became iconic and was used on British coins for nearly 2 decades. The style is elegant and youthful, reflecting a period in the Queen's reign filled with cultural change and economic reform. This portrait is surrounded by her royal titles in Latin, a tradition that continued from previous monarchs. Every small detail of this portrait was carefully crafted to ensure that the Queen's image remained dignified, recognizable, and timeless. The reverse of the coin features the crowned portcullis, a design famously associated with Parliament and British governance. This emblem dates back centuries and symbolizes security, authority, and national identity. The inscription New Penny circles the top, while the number 1 clearly indicates the denomination. The crown above the portcullis reinforces the connection between the monarchy and the government, a subtle reminder of Britain's constitutional structure. All of these elements were selected to create a balance between modernity and tradition during the country's transition to a new currency system. One of the most common misconceptions about the 1978 new penny is the idea that a lack of mint mark makes it rare. In other coin collecting traditions, particularly in the United States, mint marks can dramatically influence value because they allow collectors to identify coins struck at different mints. Some mint facilities produce lower numbers of coins, creating rare varieties. However, British coins of this era did not use mint marks for circulation strikes. The Royal Mint produced the coins without additional identifying marks, so having no mint mark is normal for the 1978 penny. This means that a 1978 new penny without a mint mark is not unusual, not an error, and not a special variant. Every 1978 penny intended for general circulation has no mint mark by design. When it comes to mintage numbers, the 1978 penny was produced in extremely high quantities. Well over 200 million coins were struck for circulation. Such a large production run ensured that the coin would be easy to find in change and widely available for decades. In the world of numismatics, rarity is heavily influenced by mintage numbers, survival rates, and collector interest. Because millions of these coins were produced and many still exist today, the coin is categorized as common. Most examples show the expected signs of circulation, such as minor scratches, wear on the Queen's portrait, and a dulling of the original bronze luster. These features are typical for bronze coins that spent many years in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars. The question many people ask is whether these coins can be worth a lot of money. The straightforward answer is that the typical 1978 new penny, even in decent condition, holds only a modest value. In circulated condition, the coin is usually worth face value or slightly more to collectors who specialize in decimal currency. Collectors who build complete year-by-year sets may pay a small premium for nicer coins, but because the 1978 penny is so common, the demand does not exceed the supply. Coins that show heavy wear are usually considered of interest only for educational purposes or as inexpensive additions to beginner collections. The situation becomes slightly more interesting when we consider uncirculated or mint-state examples. These are coins that were never used in commerce and still show the bright original bronze coloring and sharp details from the moment they left the mint. While uncirculated coins are certainly more attractive and desirable to collectors, even these tend to hold modest financial value simply because so many exist. Coin dealers and online marketplaces occasionally offer pristine examples, but the selling price usually remains low due to the abundance of surviving pieces. Collectors may pay a few pounds or a small premium for a certified mint-state example, but this is still far from the high values associated with genuinely rare coins. An area that often confuses collectors is the concept of error coins. True mint errors can be very valuable because they represent unusual accidents that occurred during the coin production process. Examples include misstrikes, off-center strikes, double dies, coins struck on the wrong planchet, or pieces missing parts of the design. While such errors can be worth significant amounts of money, they must be genuine, dramatic, and authenticated. For the 1978 new penny, major documented errors are exceedingly rare. Most coins found in circulation do not display any errors, and small imperfections caused by wear, corrosion, or damage do not make a coin valuable. Distinguishing between actual mint errors and post-mint damage requires experience, and professional grading companies can help certify authenticity if a coin appears unusual. In summary, the 1978 Queen Elizabeth II new penny is an interesting piece of British decimal history but not a rare or high-value coin in normal circumstances. It reflects a transitional period in the nation's monetary system and carries classic design elements that collectors appreciate. Its abundance ensures that most examples carry minimal financial value. Only uncirculated coins or authenticated error coins have the potential to be worth more, but even then, the value remains modest compared to genuinely rare numismatic treasures. For most people, the true worth of the 1978 new penny lies not in its monetary value but in its historical significance. It serves as a reminder of the early years of decimalization, the evolving image of Queen Elizabeth II on British coinage, and a period of national modernization. Whether discovered in a family coin jar, inherited from a relative, or found during a casual search through old change, the coin remains a small but charming part of Britain's numismatic heritage. If you enjoyed this deep exploration into the story behind the 1978 new penny, be sure to stay tuned for more in-depth discussions about rare coins, hidden treasures, and fascinating pieces of history that might be sitting unnoticed in your home. Let us know in the comments which coins you would like to learn about next, and thank you for watching.